meaningless meal that would not be necessary. You can't extinguish the life of a, and then I go, I like pork. That's my. So that's not a good argument at all. So the upshot of it is that people can change, thank God. Glory of God, people can come to changes in life. And I am now a vegetarian, so that's nice. Yeah? Thank you very much. I'm not a strict vegetarian. I eat meat, but I am a vegetarian, but not a strict one. I only eat meat. You know what I don't like is vegetables. I can't eat those. I can't stand eating vegetables. So in the strictest term, strictest use of the word, strict, I'm not a strict vegetarian. But you know what she does, my friend that is a vegetarian? She makes this thing every Thanksgiving. I don't know if you've ever eaten this. It's called a tofurkey. Tofu. It's an unwieldy word. No one likes to hear it. But it's a turkey, but it's not really a turkey. You know? Sounds like a turkey because it's got a lot of the same letters. But what they do is they take tofu, you see, and they fashion it into the countenance of a turkey. Yeah? Which doesn't fool me. And also, I don't understand why she does it on account of she's making it into the thing that she doesn't want to eat in the first place. That seems... I would not do that. Like I'm against cannibalism, As you all know, as any of you know that follow me on the Google space, www, I have gone across this country with my anti-cannibal stance, talking to people from one side of this great nation to the other. Every year I put my toe in the Pacific and I travel this great land with my anti-cannibal message. Yeah? Mostly the young people. I try to educate the young people. I go to the schools and I go, listen. You might think that you're going to be the cool guy because you eat a dude friend of yours, And maybe you will for a couple of years, Maybe you'll be the big man on campus. Oh, that's Jim. He ate a fella. But there's more to it than that. I use my time for you know what I do? I do a lot of charity work for things that people, I don't like arguing with people, where they have another opinion than me. So what I do is I pick very popular opinions, and then I work for those people. Like, for instance, there was, the landmine big thing? Princess Diana, one of the greatest people who ever lived, she was against landmines. So, tragically, she died, before her landmine crusade really got rolling, And of course, it was a terrible tragedy and everything like that. And then she died. And hey, how about this? Remember when she died? And then Elton John wrote that song for her? But it was the same song that he wrote for Marilyn Monroe? It seems like kind of a jip. Like the king's like, hey man, you wrote a song for my daughter? I don't know if there's a king. You wrote a song for Princess Diana? Yes. Yeah, you ready? She just died an hour ago. Yeah, I wrote it. I wrote it. And here it is. She lived her life like a candle in the wind. Wait a minute. It sounds like that song you wrote for about Marilyn Monroe. Well, it's a little bit, some of the same words. Well, why'd you do that? Because they're similar when you think about it. Come on. Marilyn Monroe, she was taking crazy drugs and promiscuous, running around. Man, you know, you never knew she was going to live or die. She's just living her life crazy like a candle in the wind, you know. And Princess Di, she lived in a castle. But that's sort of the same. They were blind. They're going to go. But anyways. What I was going to say. Oh, that I am very against landmines. So I will go and I will make, I'll go to protests, and I'll have a big sign that says, no more landmines. Just, if you don't know about landmines, hey, you're educating me about stuff tonight. I'll educate you a little about landmines, because there's many different causes, And landmines are terrible. What they are is, they put them underneath the earth, and then you step on them, and they blow you up. So I go there, and I protest against them. And what's fun about it is there's very few counter-protesters. There's a couple of guys out there, but clearly these guys are in the pocket of the, big landmine companies in this country. I don't mean to get all Bill Maher on you or anything, but if you think that the landmine companies in this country care about you, the little person, they don't care about you. They care about blowing you up when you're not expecting it. That's how they make their money. No. But, no, I was going to say about, she makes this tofu. Now, what I was going to say was that as a anti-cannibal guy, it would never occur to me to do the same thing as she does with her tofurkey. I would not take all my delicious cheese sandwiches and fashion them into the shape of some old rotting corpse of some dude and then eat that. That would make it at least less tasty than the cheese sandwich itself, to me. Listen, it's easy to go around saying, hey, I'm against cannibalism. Oh, I'm anti-cannibalism. Look at me. I'm better than everybody else. I know it's easy to say because I say it every day to people. But actually, when you think about it, you don't really know how you're going to, how your cannibalism beliefs are going to stand up under when it comes up. Because you'll notice in life, cannibalism rarely comes up. There's always some cheese sandwiches around you can find, But what about when you're in the Andes? Well, then all bets are off. You have to wrestle with your conscience because you're in the Andes. I don't even know why people go to the Andes, but they do. They go, hey, listen, travel agent, me and the wife, Ruth, Ruth, we're going, we got to get away from the kids again this year. We got to go to an island. We were hoping something on the other side of the Andes. Anything you got there? We just want to relax, lay on a hammock or something, and we want to go to a nice place that is separated from where we are now by the Andes. And got any small planes? We like flying in small aerofoils. In the dead of winter. You got anything like that? And they're like, yeah. So you get on the plane, and 20 minutes later you crash into a mountain. Because everyone knows it's on the boarding pass. It says, layover, a mountain. So you crash into the mountain. And then, you gotta wrestle with your conscience, because, you're down there and the guy in 24E is looking pretty delicious. And so days turn into weeks. And weeks turn into months. Months, you know how time works, right? I don't have to explain everything. Then becomes now. So and then you have to wrestle with your conscience because you're like, my conscience. And your conscience is very, if you don't want to wrestle with your conscience because, so, although it's not as hard as wrestling with an actual wrestler, I find. If you have your choice, you're doing wrestling with your conscience and wrestling with a professionally trained wrestler, I'd take the conscience because it doesn't even have arms. And for wrestling, like the headlock is the biggest move. If you don't have arms. So anyways, you're wrestling with your conscience and you're like, man, should I eat that guy in 24E? I don't know. It looks pretty good, but I don't think it's right and all this stuff. And then time goes on and you get, and instead of just acting right away, which would probably be the smarter thing, you wait way too long and months pass and then you go crazy and then you go after Frank, that's his name, in 24E, and you're just, you're so hungry now, you're tearing into him, you're like, Frank, blood all over you and everything, Anyways, and that's the last, this is what you don't want to happen at that point, is for the rescue plane to come over at that very moment, Well, you're like, what the? They're like, we have hamburgers and hot dogs here on the plane, and delicious cheese sandwiches, everything you want here. You're like, what? A lot of snow. Oh, Lord God. Let me get a drink of this water. You like water? It's better than that Pepsi shit. Ow. Water's good for you. What about guys? You ever just have guys that have their favorite water? They're like, Fiji, that's what I drink. Water, Fiji water. It's the most tasteless, colorless water of all. This one has 0 fat, like I'm a retard. Like I wouldn't be able to detect globules of fat in my water. It's cyanide free. No, but listen, man. I'm not afraid of no monsters, We spend, when you think about it, man, we spend most of our adult life petrified of monsters, And I'm just I'm saying enough, man. I'm not gonna live under the tyranny of these monsters that walk among us, If they get me, they get me. And some of them I don't even know what's so scary about them. Like now they got a movie I've seen, Wolfman, which is very scary, right? A Wolfman. They got a movie, and it's like a werewolf. I think it's exactly the same. I'm not sure. I haven't studied it close enough. But I believe, like, if a wolfman came at you and stuff, you went, werewolf! People wouldn't go, it's a wolfman, you idiot. But my point is this. I am not afraid of a wolfman or a werewolf because when you think about what they are, they're half man and half wolf. So therefore, I am only half afraid of them as I am of a wolf. And there's no movie called The Wolf. See, if you got a wolf man, half the time he's a man. You can reason with him. You can sit down and have a cheese sandwich. But a wolf, man, you can't reason with a wolf. A wolf only wants to eat you. So I'm not afraid of a werewolf. I'm not afraid of ghosts. They don't scare me, Not at all. I mean, I don't want to say I'm vulnerable to fear, but they simply don't frighten me. First of all, what do? They just go, Which that's not that scary to me. Huh? And then they're invisible. They're like, ah! And you're like, what? You're invisible. You can put your hand through them. That kind of a person never frightens me. You know the kind of guys that frighten me? You ever meet those guys where you can't put your hand through them? I don't care for those fellas. But when I can put my hand through them, it doesn't scare me in the least. This is how unscary they are. I was at a hotel a couple of weeks ago. In the lobby, they were saying they were bragging about there was a ghost in the hotel. You know, how scary can that be? You know what I mean? They're like, every night, Mary with the blue dress, that was her nickname. She was murdered and she hangs around the bed, you know what I mean? And she'll come over. And so beware, because Mary with the blue dress, which was her nickname, which was an odd nickname, because you'd think her nickname would be Mary the Ghost. When they came time to pick out her nickname, I think they were like, They go, hey, what do you notice about Mary that makes her distinctive? We got to come up with a nickname for her. I notice she wears a lot of blue dresses. She seems to have an affinity toward blue dresses. You're talking about Mary, right? The transparent lady? So I would call her Mary the Ghost. And anyways. And all they seem to do is complain, these ghosts. You ever know that? I was like, I can't. Everything's wrong. They're never happy or nothing, you know? Like, something bad happened to me. And if I don't get it cleared up, I have to travel all through the world in pain and sorrow, you know? And then I'm like, well, I do too. What the hell? At least you get to walk through walls and stuff. You get to do cool stuff. I think I'll have some more water. I love water. You know, I used to do news on Saturday Night Live, and sometimes people think I know something about news. That's the funny part, because I don't know anything about news. And I'll watch it on the TV, and I don't know what they're talking about, you know. And but I watch it all the time, you know. I'll turn on the TV, and then they go, welcome, the deficit. And I go, ha, ha, ha. I've heard that word before. Yeah, but I watch it. You don't have to know about everything, you know. When I was young, you didn't have to know about anything. Now you have to know about everything. Everybody got an opinion and stuff. You're supposed to know about every single... One guy asked me a couple weeks ago, he goes, Norm, how do you feel about stem cell research? I was like, me? Well, why don't I go to scientist school for 10 years, and then I'll come back here to this very spot, and I'll tell you what those 3 words mean. I don't know. I don't know. That's mostly my answers. And a lot of people don't know. Like you'll see on if you ever watch the news, you ever see the news? It's on at 6. They show the news, right? And they'll have a question. And a lot of people don't know, just like me. They'll have a question. They'll show a pie chart. So they'll say, does President Barack Obama deficit reduction, ? Something like that. And then they show a pie chart, you know, so you go, oh, man, that looks like a pie. You know, you get happy. And then they have like it cut up, and they'll say like 47% yes, 48% no, 5% I don't know. So that's like me, you know. There's no shame in that. No shame at all. I phone them every time there's one of those things on CNN, like one of those polls. I phone up. I want to get on that pie chart. You know, I phone up. I go, hello, excuse me, is this the TV? Yeah, you just asked me a question. I don't know. How the hell am I supposed to know? I didn't even understand most of the words in the question. What's that cost? $1.50? Is that what it said at the start? Excellent. All right. I better get on that pie chart. I'll tell you that. I'm not a guy to throw away 12 bits on on nothing. To tell you quite honest with you, nothing. Oh, look at that. So I don't know a lot about stuff. Like sometimes when I go to parties and stuff, because everybody got opinions and stuff like that, what I'll do is I go to parties not to talk opinions with people and elevate myself or anything like that. I go to parties to try to get me some free sandwiches, because I find at parties often you can find, if you look, cheese sandwiches for free. And often what they do is they'll put other stuff in it. You have to take it out, so you just get the cheese, but whatever, it's free. And but the other people I notice, they go there to converse and talk of the issues of the day and so forth like that at the parties, and I don't like that kind of stuff, So I tried, and I don't know anything. See what I mean? So what I'll do is before I go to the party, I just turn on the TV, on the one of them channels with news. And then there's a guy with a suit and a tie. I just say whatever he says. I'll say that at the party, and it usually works. I'll just go to the party and everybody will be yapping. They'll be like, deficit and health care, trillion, billion. Then I go, yeah. Hey, I got an opinion. Listen to this now. I blame the media. Because the media is not entirely without fault when you think about it. I mean, you can't just completely say that the media. Anybody seen them sandwiches? A fellow over there was telling me there were sandwiches where they cut the crusts off and they're in triangles. Fellow over there. And he said they had toothpicks with frilly toothpicks in them. None is. Not a single one is. All right, fair enough. But I have a thing, see, I have a thing where I can judge guys that are my own smartness level. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you ever got caught talking to a smart guy. You ever have that happen to you? That's not a lot of fun. Like you're at a party and you're at that kitchen part where there's that big square thing. I don't even know what it is, but you're all standing around, and then there's 5 of you and 3 of you leave, and it's just you and the smart guy, and the guy's got a pipe or something. He's like, anyway, how about that leader from the foreign country? What about his name? You're like, I'm going to go ahead and look for them sandwiches, but I'm coming back to talk to you. I'm not running away, if that's what you think. I'm not going to run out that side door right over there and run full speed down the street. Don't think that. No. So what I do, I have a very good. I can go to my own. You know what I mean? The people that are at my smartness levels. So if I'm in a party, right, I can go right into the party and immediately, like they say gay guys have gaydar. They can sense other gay people. I'm like that with guys at my dumb level. I can walk up, I can just go immediately. I'll say, hey, I bet I can keep up with that guy over there. Then I make a beeline over for that character, and then we talk about Jughead comics or something for a while. I don't know. We have a grand old time, and I try to pocket a couple of cheese sandwiches and take off. But it's hard to talk to anybody just in regular life, I don't know how to do it, especially like one-on-one, like talking, It's so hard with people, like my friend was saying, you gotta listen. That's the most important thing in a conversation. Listen to the person that's talking to you. But that's not enough, because eventually that other guy will stop talking. I'm good at that part. But, and then you go, oh, sorry, I forgot to think of something to say there. You keep talking, and the next time you stop, I'll say something. So you got to do 2 things at once. So you got to listen to the guy, everything he's saying, plus anything he says that you may know something about, you know, you got to keep that in your head for when he stops talking. You know what I mean? So maybe he's yapping and all of a sudden he mentions Fonzie or something like that, right? So then in the back of your head you go, hey, wait a second, I know something about Fonzie. So as this idiot stops talking, I'll say my Fonzie thing. Excellent. Excellent. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo. Doodly-doodly-doo. Ah. Peace. So this is what it feels like, huh? Doo-doo-doodly-doo. And then maybe the guy changes the subject. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa! Hold on a second there. Wait a minute. No, it's interesting what you're saying now. It's interesting. Hey, but what about then? Remember then? It was earlier? And now? You were talking about Fonzie. Yeah, anyways. Interesting thing about Fonzie is this. It's not his real name. Arthur Fonzarelli. That's a true fact, man. You can Google that up on the W. All right, you talk for a while now. You know, it goes on from there. The news, I mean, some of the news I understand, you know, like, but that news isn't real news, you know what I mean? It's just odd, crazy, like Tiger Woods, who's still in it, you know, in this tournament, which is depressing for me because I like Tiger and stuff. And then, you know, Tiger victimized himself, first of all, his family, but and all these women and everything. But he also victimized the golf fan, me. You know what I mean? The guy, I believed in him and I trusted him, and so it was kind of sad for me because I don't care if a guy wants to lie down with ladies and stuff like that. You know, I understand that's a thing guys like to do, but I don't like hypocrisy. You understand what I'm saying? I don't like a hypocrite. And to me, Tiger, when I was watching him, he always presented himself to me as a golfer. You know? I always thought he was a great golfer. I watched him my whole, you know, life. And he'd be in the sand, hitting it out, and then the golf ball come real close, you know what I mean, to the hole. And then he'd put it, and he'd go like that. And everything. So I was all happy. I go, man, that guy's a golfer. People would ask me, who's Tiger Woods? I go, he's a golfer. Right? Now, I had no idea he was leading this double life where by day he was a golfer and by night he was laying down with ladies. Otherwise, I never would have bought the Buick. Now I'm driving around a Buick, people snickering at me and stuff, you know? Whatever. No, but he's a sex addict, and that's a hard one. I imagine that's a tough one to kick. Wouldn't that be the worst? Like those meetings, like a sexaholic. What if they have those meetings? What do they call them? They always say aholic. It only really works with alcohol. Like sex, AA, yeah, for sex. That would be a weird. I don't know how that would go. But you know, if you haven't had sex for like a year or something, and then you don't want to hear about some guy's relapse. You know, guys like, I've been weak. Oh no, you don't have to tell us. I met her in a bar. She was gorgeous. Please. You have to hug the guy. That's too bad. That's terrible. Well, we all, whatever. But I don't even know if sex, I don't even know if that's a thing. I don't know, you know. It's weird to me because if you're an addict, if you're a heroin addict, you're addicted to heroin. The more heroin you do, the more addicted you are. Booze addict, you're addicted to booze. More booze you do, bigger addict you are, you know. So to me, if you're a sex addict, let's say, you know, sometimes you meet these guys like, hey man, this guy's 70 years old and he's been married since he was 20. Still happy, still have a healthy sex life, still has sex with his wife, you know, every week or so, you know. Then wouldn't you think that guy's a sex addict? He is a sex addict to such a degree that he's willing to have sex with a 70-year-old lady. That's hitting bottom there, you know. If you're going around getting a whole bunch of different ladies, that's not a sex addict. That's just a beautiful lady addict. I don't know what you call that. But if you're willing to just anything at all, just whatever's beside you after 50 years, you're like, I don't like you anymore, but or whatever they do, whatever noise they make. Man, I don't like those news stories that's scary either, man. That's why I don't like watching the news no more. Because when I was a kid, just news stories, be real stuff, you know, like about the world or whatever. But now they'll have little personal stories that have nothing to do with nobody, and they present it as the news, you know, and then you don't want to see them, you know. And I noticed that the latest one they all seem to have, the show will open the news, and there'll be a guy with a suit and a tie, so you know he's a newsman. And he goes, hey, our top story tonight, a lady has vanished. And you're like, oh yeah? And they go, yes, she's gone. Yeah, oh yeah? Do I know her? No. You never heard of her, but we're going to tell you about her. We got Bill. He's on the outside. They have one guy inside, one guy outside. Bill, what's going on? And then Bill's outside. He's like, yeah, the lady vanished. Her name was Janice. And nobody can find her hiding her hair of her car. Was found in the car is fine. It's in the Burger King lot. But we can't find the lady. All right, back to you. And, you know, so then you're at home. You go, well, I don't give a damn on account I never knew her in the first place. How can I possibly care? As a matter of fact, I'm happy it's her and not someone I know. So, but then they go, we'll tell you about it. You go, no, that's cool, you know. I don't really want to know. But they can't help themselves, you know. They go, here she, oh, hey, Bill, you still outside? And he's like, yeah, of course. And they go, we understand you have some friends, a Janice, to tell you about. Yes, we've been talking to some of her friends anyways. Turns out she's a good lady. Breaking news, Janice was a good lady. And we got some of her friends here going to talk about it. And then they show a lady and says, Janice's friend. And she says, oh, Janice, man, she was the greatest. She was the kind of person where you could walk into a room and she would light up the whole room. You know, it was amazing. She didn't have a light or nothing like that. She would just somehow, through sheer tyranny of will, she could make a room light up. Someone thought it was supernatural. And then this is other Janice's friend. Oh, Janice. She was the type of lady I remember that you could always turn to. You know how sometimes you want to turn your neck, you know, because you're having troubles. You want to, you know, or your neck hurts, whatever. But when you turn, the person you most want to see in your eye line would be Janice, you know. And then if you say Janice's other friend that wasn't one of the first two. Well, Janice, she's the kind of person, you could be talking to your best friend the whole world, you know, and then Janice comes in and goes, screw you, I'm talking to Janice. You know, you go over to Janice, she's a better person than you. It's Janice. And so then at home, you start to get invested in Janice. You start liking her, you know what I mean? And every day they show you more about Janice, you know, and they show a different home videos of her, and you're like, hey, honey, look. Oh, I like that hat she's wearing. She's eating a piece of pizza. You know, and you start really liking her. You know, you go, ah, man, that lady's nice. I'd like to meet her one day. That'd be. Oh, I forgot she vanished. Oh well, they'll find her. I'm sure of it. Then you get hope, you know, and you can't. All you can think about is Janice. You know, your feverish dreams are commanded by Janice's spirit. You know, you can't even think right. You know, and every day you're turning on the news. Man, what's going on with Janice? And they keep going, telling you know, and things progress. You know. And Bill's still outside. And he's like, "We're still looking. It's been 3 weeks now, but as we speak, everyone's combing the woods behind me as we speak." And then you're at home. You go, "Oh no, not the woods." You don't like to hear that. Nothing good ever happens in the woods. I've seen enough of these stories to realize that Janice is not going to come bounding out of the woods anytime soon. It's like, hey, what's going on, everybody? I was just taking a stroll through the woods. What's going on? Why are you taking pictures of me anyway? What's going on? Now, if they find you in the woods, generally, they find you in one spot. As a matter of fact, exclusively, every time, if you're found in the woods, you're found in a shallow grave. That's the way it works. I don't know why, but I've seen enough Bill Curtis specials to know that shallow grave is where you want to end up. Certain things you don't want on your death certificate. One would be shallow grave. Massive. You wouldn't want to see that on your death certificate. The word massive. Or maybe you would. I don't know. Maybe that would be a good one. What about complications? That's the one that always confused me. I'm like, what the fuck? You go, hey, Doc, would my dad die again? It's complicated. It's complications. He died from them. Well, how'd that work? You told me it was going to be a simple operation. Yeah, we thought it was. You're not a doctor, are you? It looks simple in the book. But once we cut him open, man, a lot of red stringy stuff in your dad. Very complicated when you get in there, really. Well, anyways, goodbye. So, yeah, you don't want to see shallow grave in any of your, in any of the Fourth Estate's account on your being dispatched. So, and also, doesn't it seem a little rash, a shallow grave, you know? Like after all their planning, these serial killers, they're supposed to be so cunning, you know, so diabolical according to the TV movies I've seen. And doesn't it seem a little rash at the end that all of a sudden it's just shallow grave, you know? It's just, wouldn't you think they'd go to a little, yeah? There's like, there you go, a couple of leaves and a twig. That look like Janice. I don't remember Janice having twigs and leaves all over. Nobody will find her. A Boy Scout ain't going to stumble over her tomorrow morning, I know that much. I'm going home and await the authorities. And then they go home. Now, I would, if I ever did that, and I would never slaughter and kill a woman. I want you to know that. I know I say that now. Who knows? Can't predict the future, but I know there's not a river long enough that does not contain a bend. But I believe right now I would not slaughter a woman. And maybe it's just vanity talking. You know, the scriptures say that man is mostly vanity. But in my vanity, I do not believe I would do it, you know. But if I did do it, if I somehow snapped, because who would ever know, I would plan it out. I'd be very, very careful about it, you know. But I would track the lady, you know, because you know, there's still a stigma even in today's enlightened society, when you slaughter a lady. So I would track the lady. You understand? I would find out. This is what you got to do. You got to find out her habits. You know, like maybe you go, hey man, I know she goes to that cheese sandwich store every day, and when she comes back, she's got a big paper bag of stuff. I'll bet you anything there's cheese sandwiches in there. Eh? So then you put that up in your head. Lady likes cheese sandwiches. It's one piece of information. But you take your time. You know? Then you notice, you see another pattern. You go, hey, every Wednesday night, that lady goes down to the gymnasium and plays basketball with other ladies, which is fine nowadays. So, what I would do is I would stand outside of the gym, you know, and she'd...
So.